Hi, how are you? So in this video I'm going to be doing a review of a compact disc that was recently released. I don't do a lot of album reviews on this channel, but every so often a new CD will come out by one of my favorite bands or one of my favorite singers, and I just feel compelled to give it a review. Well, in this review I'm going to be talking about the latest CD by Depeche Mode, and this is called Memento Mori, and it was just released a short while ago. And before I begin my review, I just have to explain that I've been a fan of Depeche Mode for many decades. I think the first song I heard by Depeche Mode was back in 1985, their hit single People Are People. And that really caught my ears. I was only 13 years old at the time, but the sound of that song really caught my attention. And from there I just slowly started to become really a big fan, and I began to collect all their albums. I now own all of their albums. Certainly I can say their debut album Speak and Spell that came out in 1981 is an all-time favorite of mine. It's had a huge influence on the music that I create. And I would say another Depeche Mode album that I love is Violator from 1990. Well, this one, Memento Mori, is certainly a good album. But one thing I want to mention in this video, as I said, I've been a fan of Depeche Mode for a long time now, but the last Depeche Mode album that really impressed me was probably way back in 1997, their album Ultra. That, for me, was probably the last really good Depeche Mode album. To be honest, I find that everything they've done ever since then has been okay. I find what happens with Depeche Mode, again, this would be pretty much everything they've released in the last 25, 26 years. In my opinion, you'll have 2 or 3 songs on the album that is really good, and then the rest of the album is just really forgettable and mediocre. But again, that's just my opinion. And this doesn't detract my passion for Depeche Mode. I will always be a fan of this band no matter what. If they release an album, I will buy it, without question. I'm still a very dedicated fan. Again, I honestly don't feel that a lot of their stuff that they've released in the last couple of decades has been great, but it's still good and still worth listening to. And I would say that even the weakest Depeche Mode album is still better than the best album by a lot of modern bands. So, I'm going to take a look at each of the songs on Memento Mori, give a little bit of my own track-by-track analysis of each song. So, the first song on the album is called My Cosmos Is Mine. This is a very seductive song, very mysterious, very well produced, very moody. I really like it. Again, not one of the best Depeche Mode songs I've ever heard, but definitely very good. It's very minimal, very dark, very emotional, and the music is very sparse and spacious, and I just think it's a really good opener for the album, and again, very well produced and just full of emotion and full of mood. The second song on the album is called Wagging Tongue, and this one is pretty good. It has a nice synth line. It really takes its time. It really unfurls very slowly, kind of like a flower opening up. It's good. It has a simple beat that kicks in. It's very thoughtful and very mature. The third song is probably one of the better Depeche Mode songs that I've heard in a long time. It's very melodic, probably the catchiest song on the whole album. It's not their best song, but again, I think it's one of the better songs that they've done in quite some time. There's a lot of really good synthesizer textures going on in that track. The fourth song on the album is called Don't Say You Love Me. Now this one is really plodding and slow. It has very insightful lyrics, but I just don't find it memorable at all. I think I could probably listen to it a dozen times and still forget it 5 minutes later. Just not a really memorable song in my opinion. The fifth song on the album is called My Favorite Stranger. Now this one has a really good bass line, It has a nice feel. It has a cool sort of noir feel. Again, a good song, but it just feels like there's something missing. And I find that this is often a problem with a lot of recent Depeche Mode songs. And when I say recent, I mean the last few albums that they put out. The songs aren't necessarily bad, but I find they're just really not memorable. The 6th song on the album is called Soul With Me. Now, Martin Gore's voice is really incredible on this track. It sounds just as nice as ever. The song kind of meanders along. It's kind of loose. Again, not really great, although Martin Gore's voice on the track is incredible. The 7th song on the album is called Caroline's Monkey, and this is probably one of my favorite tracks on the album, even though the title is kind of funny. It has some really nice synthesizer sounds, a really great bass, and again, I think it's one of the better tracks on Memento Mori. The 8th song on the album is called Before We Drown, and this is another slow, incredibly mellow song. It's just kind of spineless in my opinion, and you know, there's really not a cutting edge at all to this song. Again, just kind of sort of soft and forgettable, and just not really a strong effort in my opinion. The 9th song on the album is called People Are Good, and this is another one of my favorite tracks, one of the better tracks on the album in my opinion. It has a slightly faster tempo, it's very hooky, and just one of the more catchier songs on the album, and one of the better tracks. The 10th song on the album is called Always You, and this is more of the same. Again, very dark, very slow, and unfortunately not very memorable. The 11th song on the album is called Never Let Me Go. This is another one of the better tracks on the album in my opinion. It has a stronger beat, a little bit more of an edge, yeah, a bit more hooky and a bit more memorable. The final song on the album is called Speak to Me, and this is a ballad, again very sort of moody and minor. It has really desperate lyrics. It's honest, it's heartfelt, and ultimately very, very minimal. And really, I think it's a nice ending to the album. So overall, what did I think of Memento Mori? Again, as a longtime fan, I'm going to love pretty much anything Depeche Mode puts out. Well, maybe love might be too strong of a word, but I'm definitely going to appreciate it and respect it. And no matter, anytime they come out with a new album, I'm going to check it out. And I think like many people, I was very curious to hear this one. Of course, sadly, Andy Fletcher recently passed away. So now Depeche Mode is down to only 2 members, Martin Gore and Dave Gahan. And I was really wondering how that would impact the overall sound of this new album. Again, not a great effort, definitely not one of their best albums, but still I would say it's definitely worth picking up and definitely worth listening to. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give Memento Mori a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and please let me know, what do you think of Memento Mori? Feel free to leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, and as always, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps my channel grow, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.